Today is Sol 40. Since our last entry, we found ourselves constantly looking towards our two moons for the strength they represent to overcome the challenges that we've faced. It has not been an easy task to begin operations, and while we all remained hopeful, the immense pressure caused by the disruption of our original plan when we arrived was evident. The entire colony did their best to adapt to the new plan and focus all their energy on achieving the short-term goal that we set out for ourselves. While the colonization plan was on track, the effort to remain on plan proved challenging. Longer days, longer seasons, and the rust-colored dust constantly swirling around is just a harsh reminder of how far we are away from home. Our workforce management team had focused on helping the rising colony with direction and focus areas to remain on plan, but the stress from finding a balance in the new structured groups and sectors had caused gaps in their output. We realized that a more structured approach is necessary. After all, we still needed to ensure we produce the necessary resources or else face shortages with shelter and food once the next group arrived. This baseline was called our community guidelines, which has been loaded onto the mainframe. But here are a few examples of what we had to implement in order to create this baseline. The metric of FTE, or full-time equivalent, which is a metric of time, but it's represented in units of Martians. Our colony would now be flexible enough to swap Martians between tasks based on the skill that was required at the time, while we ensured we maintained the minimum amount of Martians we needed to complete those tasks. For example, at the iron mining site, we needed 12 FTE, and at the farming site, we needed just 5 FTE. And about halfway through the shift, one of the Martians got injured and was transported to the infirmary. At our farming site, we had 2 Martians that were skilled at mining and redeployed one of them to the mining site to ensure that the mining operations continued smooth. The farming site didn't require much manual labor at the time. We just needed soil samples and quality checks on the grain, so we were able to deploy one of our admin Martians to the farm site in order to cover that gap. The second metric that we implemented was AHT, average handle time, a typical time metric, but it's used to understand what a consistent production output should look like in order to maintain productivity. After restructuring the groups from the results of the new skills assessment, we conducted time and motion studies to baseline how long each routine task would take. We determined an acceptable duration per task based on the most efficient way of doing it with the highest acceptable rate of quality for that task. These routine tasks are now tracked against its AHT baseline, and it is used to proactively train those whose AHT has a high variance from that baseline, and also to learn from those who have managed to get an AHT that's below the baseline. The third metric was occupancy, which is a metric that just identifies how busy our Martians are on their tasks. Both mining and farming sectors must be able to produce a specific output per day to ensure that we survive, and this in turn determines how many FTE we need. The occupancy metric guides us by identifying if our Martians are working at an acceptable level to meet the required outputs without burning out. We depend on this metric so that we can change and adjust our plans and resource allocation per sector. While still missing home, we are filled with hope and working together, constantly refining our production methods and increasing our efficiency. This is Outpost WFM signing off.